Hi, this is Mrs. Lexell for Comp 1. And sorry I can't be with you tonight, but I'd like to talk through a few things as we move forward on your paper. By now, hopefully, you have all 25 note cards done. That was supposed to be done over break. And last week you were supposed to put in a note card quiz, and that's available on iNet, and you can submit it to turnitin.com. I've extended the deadline, so please get that done as quickly as possible. Really, the quiz is asking you what your note cards say, so it's not too difficult. Everyone should do really well. The next thing you should do is watch a video about how to do the outlining worksheet. So the outlining worksheet is also on iNet, and that was to be done by today. And there's a really kind of cool video that I included that has a lady walking you through the worksheet. And it uses your note cards and helps you format your note cards in a way that's logical into an outline form, because as we move forward on your paper, you'll want to be able to have that. And so again, that's a graded thing, so make sure you get that done as quickly as possible. So the next thing, and I've provided you some examples, and I'll provide another example of like an outline I did, as well as the start of a paper. I do have an MLA example for a paper on under research paper on iNet. This will show you how to format it, how to do the header and the headings and the types of font you're going to use. But so far you should have had your note cards all ready. And so here's mine. I love sticky notes to organize them. And I organize them kind of like the lady did last week in the video, okay? So I have my intro, and I'm going to do it on sailing. So I decided that there are three things that I wanted to cover: parts of a sailboat, the history of sailing, and some safety precautions. So my next Roman numeral is parts of a sailboat, and here's my note cards. So I typed them up, and you'll notice that down here I have the MLA citation. Pull that right off the bib. If you have an author, it's the author's last name. If you don't have the author, then you use the first major word of the article, and you put that in quotes in the parentheses. But so this one that I just showed you didn't have an author, but it came from an article that started with the word boats, and so I would put that there. And so I had multiple cards under my parts of a sailboat, and I started with keel, and so you can kind of see, and here's my B, sails, because they're important to a sailboat. Notice on this one it says et al. If you have 3 or more authors for a source, you have to cite them all in your bibliography, but on your note card and in your paper, you shorten it to the last name of the first author listed, and then space ET period, space AL period, and then you put the parentheses around that. So again, it kind of looks like this. So I have all of my note cards, and I typed them up into an outline form, and I'll put that on Google Docs, or not on Google Docs, on the iNet for you to show you what my outline looked like. Once you have your outline, you need to work up your thesis statement. Like, this is a dreaded thing for research papers. I don't know why, but a lot of people fret over it. The trick about it is simply to look at your Roman numerals. So my Roman numerals, as I told you, were parts of a sailboat, the history of sailing, and the steps for safety. So I like to think of it as, it's a little bit formulaic. So I start with, like, in order to understand sailing, one needs to know blank, blank, blank. So and you do it in the order that you're going to talk about it. One needs to understand the parts of a sailboat, the history of sailing, and the steps we take for safety. Okay, so that's my thesis statement. The thesis statement is always one sentence long, okay? It's the last sentence of your introduction. As you're formatting your introduction, a lot of people stumble over these. We want to start it off with like a hook, something to grab the reader's attention. Somewhere in middle school, somebody told everybody, hey, start with a question. Do you want to know about sailing? Don't do that. Okay, no questions on the first sentence of the introduction. We're more sophisticated writers than that. So instead, think of interesting things like a profound truth or a shocking statement or a story. So for my sailing one, I'm going to set up a story about a captain who's out to sea and what it looks like, and then grab the reader's attention and then introduce my thesis statement of saying, if you'd like this lifestyle, then you should learn about sailing. However, I have a student recently that wrote me a paper on sleep disorders. And he started with people with sleep disorders are dangerous. And he talked a little bit about it in his introduction about the things that we do when we're denied sleep, that our driving might be upset. He talked about how our eating behaviors change when we're sleep deprived, and even our decision-making skills. And then went to the thesis statement and then described all the different kinds of sleep disorders a person could have. This was really a clever way of doing that. So as part of the worksheet, you're going to write your introduction. That can change as we move forward in the paper, but at least it gets you started, and then you write that thesis statement. The next sentence you need to worry about is the first sentence in your second paragraph. We call those topic sentences, those first sentences. And what you need to look at your Roman numerals again. So if I look at mine, my next Roman numeral is about parts. But I know that my Roman numeral is too big to fit in one paragraph. So I'm just going to talk. I might bring up this, but I also might bring up this, the keel, right? So my topic sentence might be, before a person begins sailing, they need to know about the parts on a boat. Then I would talk about those parts in the paragraph. I could also say, in order to understand all the parts of a sailboat, one needs to start at the bottom, the keel. And then I can go into my research. And so, for example, mine tells me what the keel is. So my next sentence can be a note card. According to Boats by U.S. Marine, a keel is this, and I use my quote. Now, let me talk about these note cards, because they're kind of like a sandwich. When you're writing your paper, you always write a sentence to introduce your note card, something that captures the attention or helps explain it or get somebody ready. So, for example, one needs to know about keels. And then I use my note card, and then I have to explain it a little bit. Answer the question, so what? So mine says that the keel is a flat blade that keeps the boat upright. So then my next sentence is going to be my words, and I might suggest why that's important, right? That if in a heavy storm it might blow over. People who boat need to think about the kinds of materials they're going to use, how expensive it is, and where are they going to be sailing. So you need to think about, how can I explain this? Sometimes I call this fluff. This is a way of expanding and having some commentary. You're the expert on your paper. Okay? So, and you go through this, you do like one note card sandwich, then another. And so once I've done this one about what a keel is, I might even say there are many different types of keels. Guess what? Here's a description of one, a fin keel. And so it says it provides more ballast. Okay, I know what the word ballast means. It means weight. So I've just used a note card that had an unfamiliar vocabulary term, so maybe my commentary is going to be, ballast is the weight of a boat. It's how it keeps it upright. So you're going to explain unfamiliar vocabulary or give me an example. For example, the sailors in the olden days would have used this. Okay, so you're going to kind of go through that. Your paragraph can only be about that. So I would only do, for mine, keels. And the next paragraph would be about sails. So in the next paragraph, we would need a whole new topic sentence. But we also need a transition. We can't just go down a list because it seems disjointed and unconnected to your reader. So I would say something like, in addition to keels, one needs to know about sails. That in addition to provides a transition for your reader, and it tells me what the paragraph's going to be about. So a couple notes about writing a paper. So first off, you cannot use the word me, I, you, or we, or our. No personal pronouns in the paper at all. We don't do that for scholarly writing. I know you did that with our narrative, and that's a different type of writing, which is why it's allowed. If you get confused, please check the textbook. The MLA handbook really kind of covers everything. If you get stuck or you didn't buy the book, MLA has everything online. So look up the Modern Language Association and they'll help you write your paper. So as we move forward, what I would like you to do is start composing a rough draft. This paper needs to be 5 pages, needs to have a works cited page attached to the bottom. That doesn't count in the 5 pages. And we're going to have that done for next week for class because we're going to go through them and find some of the common mistakes we make. I think that should catch you up. Make sure that your note cards and your outline and your paper is ready to rock and roll next week. Bring all of that stuff with you to class. And we'll go through it one by one so nobody's lost. We only have a few more weeks. Before we submit this final, I want to make sure that I answer all of your questions. So thanks for being patient about tonight. Sorry I couldn't make it. If you have any questions, please email me right away, and I'll try to answer any questions you have. So have a great night. Get writing.